Hey everybody, I am back from PAX Unplugged board game convention in Philadelphia, where there was a very special announcement from Cephalofair Games about the Gloomhaven role-playing game. So this will be a Dungeons and Dragons style adventure book and system, if you like, where you will be able to take some of those sort of beloved characters that you might have had and create your own beloved new characters and go on adventures in Gloomhaven or the Haven universe, if you like. So this was officially announced during the live panel that they had. However, they did have signage on their stand. So from Friday morning, if you went to the Cephalofair Games stand, the jig was up. You could see it on their stand. You could see at least the signage for it. There was no physical product or anything to look at, but they had signage up for the role-playing game. There were a lot of people as well that kind of already had an inkling to this. We had been discussing it a little bit before the convention during my streams, and that we were kind of going, okay, what could this be possibly about? A few people suggested to me that it could be a role-playing game, so that was the kind of the theory going in, so it was pretty easily confirmed. Now, I don't think this was a particularly massive secret. It's also a bit of a no-brainer, considering that a lot of the pieces are there to create a role-playing system with Gloomhaven. There's so much of it now, and there's also this huge world that they've created with the game, so it just made a lot of sense. And yeah, we'll see kind of what it ends up being, but it's certainly something interesting, and it's good to see the Gloomhaven family expanding even more. So the quick and dirty summary of this is it's coming to Backerkit in April 2023 alongside the miniatures of Gloomhaven campaign. So a really nice opportunity there for you to get a bunch of miniatures for this role-playing game, as well as your physical Gloomhaven and Frosthaven games there too. It's going to use a new kind of class system where you can use a class and any ancestry that you like in order to create unique character combinations. So if you want to be a Quattral Brute, you're going to take the traits of a Quattral, you're going to take the traits of a Brute, you're going to mash them together, and that's going to be able to give you your starting stats, or give you a starting point at least for your stats. And you're going to be using the Brute's cards because that's your class in terms of your actions in the game that you take. On those ability cards specifically, there is going to be a third ability written now, which is going to have some kind of out of combat or some kind of effect that can boost different checks or help you along the way. It might not exclusively be used just outside of combat. I guess you could probably still use it inside of combat. It's a role-playing game. You know, players can use any avenue to them in order to try and solve the problem that is in front of them and progress in the kind of campaign. So, but the actual cards are going to have a third ability on them, and that they will have some kind of effect on you being able to increase some kind of check or something. But during the course of the actual playthrough, Isaac used Disorientating Flash, which is a Tinkerer card, in which he managed to kind of increase one of his other people in the party's checks on a particular thing, where they were trying to, I think they were trying to like confuse an NPC. So he used Disorientating Flash as a way to kind of bamboozle this NPC, and it worked. The GM allowed it and said, yep, you can use your Disorientating Flash to do that, and that allowed them to then kind of succeed with what it was that they were doing. So that's going to be another avenue to definitely explore with these cards, and another unique component that's going to be needed for the role-playing game. So in order to play this, then the bare minimum is you're going to need those ability cards. You're going to need new character sheets, which will represent all of those different checks and stuff like that. You're going to probably need the lore book, I would think, that would give you enough detail around the different things, as well as probably the different ancestry bonuses that you get for the different characters, as well as the traits and things like that for the different classes and what have you. You're going to need, of course, attack modifier decks for every player and also for the enemies. You're going to need potentially enemy ability decks, although perhaps that might be a component you can skimp out on. You're also maybe going to need tiles in order to actually do the dungeon environments. They didn't actually use tiles during the playthrough on stage. They just kind of flashed it up and said, hey, if we had more time, we would be actually playing Gloomhaven right now, but we don't have enough time. So they just kind of sped up the kind of combat encounter that happened towards the end. Also, you're going to need maybe this GM screen. I would imagine you would need a GM screen in order to do this. A lot of that information was kept a little bit reserved, so a lot of things were resolved behind the GM screen. So you would need maybe a GM screen if you don't have one already. But apart from that, that looked like about it, really. There didn't seem to be anything else that you really needed. A lot of stuff was maybe a bit of set dressing, like they were using the health dials and the XP dials. They were using those as part of their kind of characters, which again makes sense if you've got the component there, but nothing wrong with a pencil and a piece of paper for that, in my opinion. So whether or not you're going to actually need a lot of this stuff is yet to be seen. But as a bare minimum, you're going to be needing those new ability cards, attack modifier decks, and those new character sheets for sure. I did manage to grab Isaac for a quick chat on the Cephalofair stand and ask him about what would be included in the Backerkit pledges, and at this point in time they're not actually sure what it will include. I think it's pretty safe to assume here that there will be some kind of basic level for those of us who have a lot of Gloomhaven stuff already to just kind of get us the bits that we need, but there will probably need to be some kind of tier that includes a lot more stuff for those of you who are starting from scratch. Although Isaac did kind of say that he wasn't necessarily really interested in having loads and loads of different add-ons like a map pack and all of that kind of stuff. But I guess it is what it is, and we will see what happens when the actual Backerkit goes live in April. The panel was actually a really entertaining watch, and all of the kind of people on stage were having a great time. They were really feeding into it and having some fun. There was some tongue-in-cheek Gloomhaven jokes. There was even some mention of a new Gloomhaven game potentially that was sort of teased.
I'm looking for new adventures. I'm looking for like a third place. Is there anywhere that you could recommend? If there was like a third place that I could go. You look like a pretty well-traveled guy. I'm happy to hop in a wagon and go pretty much anywhere.
Well, I have spent quite a bit of time on the eastern continent. It's a nice.
That's nice.
Nice location, yes.
Oh.
But I make no guarantees. It'll be nice for you.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well.
A little more serene, you could say. You're very. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get that sometimes. Okay, well, I just wanted to, give you as much time to talk as you need about any third place, just in case you need anything.
I think
that covers it?
Yes, I think this conversation has reached its natural.
Okay, fair enough.
Now take that as you will. Obviously incredibly vague, but Eastern continent, serene setting. We've had a lot of bleak kind of places that we've been to, with Gloomhaven and Frosthaven obviously being even bleaker than Gloomhaven, really, in the icy tundra. So going to be interesting maybe to see if there is anything there. I mean, take it as you will, but I'm sure that was probably staged in some way. It felt like it kind of came up. So yeah, maybe a little teaser there, and I guess we'll just have to wait for news. But it is also great to finally put to bed the Gloomhaven is like D&D in a box comparison that generally I have always rallied against. I've never liked that comparison when people try to sell other people on Gloomhaven and say, hey, it's like Dungeons and Dragons in a box, in a board game. And I think though there are, of course, role-playing elements in the game in terms of leveling up your characters and getting stronger, and of course you can embrace that side of the characters a bit more, it is still a deeply tactical strategic Euro game, really, at its roots. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't really understand, and that's why a lot of people struggle with things like the stamina system, for example. But in a role-playing game like this kind of framework, I'm sure that they can free those kind of chains of the stamina system that a lot of people aren't really a fan of, and that you can actually now play with and enjoy maybe a more kind of laid-back experience, being able to really embrace those characters fully, which I think a lot of people are going to like. And finally, we can put that comparison to bed so that when someone says, what is Gloomhaven like? We can say, well, the Gloomhaven role-playing game is like D&D in a box, and you can use all of those components to create yourself a really kind of great campaign to play through. But if you want a deep, tactical, and hard, where you're going to die quite a bit, board game, then the Gloomhaven board game is going to be for you. And also, I'm really interested to see this as a gateway product. I mean, for me, myself, I'm not a big role-playing person, so this could be a way for me to get into role-playing with very low kind of barrier to entry, really. I'm already invested in the Gloomhaven world. It wouldn't take me a lot to just buy the books and the sheets, the cards that I need maybe to get going. And certainly it gives you a nice platform to begin from, rather than maybe it being daunting where you kind of have to start in a world that you're very unfamiliar with, or you know, with characters that you're very unfamiliar with. You may have even played some of these classes before, and now you're like, hey, I really would like to role play that class. And you could really just play it almost as if you are just playing that class, if you like, from the board game. You know, I think it will be very freeing for people who maybe aren't very comfortable or haven't really tried role playing or been a bit nervous to try. So it could be very, very interesting. And to that end, I really hope that they add some kind of small module to the Backerkit campaign that you can either buy extra or it's included in the book, that gives you maybe 2 or 3 sessions to play through that the DM can just run. That's got some built-in stories, some built-in encounters, some ideas that you can kind of grow from, and then give people that platform to springboard from. Because it would still be kind of daunting if you just say, hey, here's everything, just go and make a campaign. And although I think some people would relish that, and I'm sure a lot of people will, I think it'll be nice for those sort of starters, maybe those families who are just trying it for the first time, who've maybe played Gloomhaven with their family, really enjoyed it, and now they want to dabble in the role-playing game. Give them a starting point, and I think that would be really cool. But please let me know down below, what do you guys think? Is this something you're interested in? Is this something you're going to be trying out? As role players, you guys out there, I'm very much interested to hear your thoughts, because I don't play many role-playing games myself. So a diceless system, is that good? Is that bad? I'm sure it isn't unique. I'm sure there's been ones before, so could be an interesting avenue. Maybe not. Maybe some people really like using the dice. I mean, they are very synonymous with role-playing games. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of this announcement. Okay, that pretty much wraps up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry that I haven't been posting as much on YouTube recently. I've had a lot going on in my personal life. It's been a bit of a struggle for the last few months with different things, but I am starting to get back on track, which is great. And I'm waiting patiently for my Frosthaven to turn up so that I can start playing my Frosthaven on stream, but also start making content for you guys about that game. So I'm sure quite a few of you out there already have your copy, but I do not, and it's probably looking like January now for me here in the UK, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. It is the nature of the beast, unfortunately, nowadays for me, so I just have to put up with it. But hopefully I will get it soon, so then I can really start playing the game and giving you guys some content. But stay tuned for that. But again, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video. Bye.
I think so. Yeah.
That's the blessing from Jab. That's the blessing from.
Isaac, at this point, can we get your approval to add an additional attack modifier deck for allies in the digital?